today's topic is holiday shopping tips. Let's do some quick introductions. Well, I will be quick, but I want to spend more time on my co-host. My name's Ashley Coley. I'm one of the directors here at OCVT. I'm extremely passionate about this group and this platform. The way that I got interested and dove into the deep end to create this group was because of my co-host Allie, who I cannot skip over her amazing introduction. She is and wears so many hats. She's a daughter and a wife and a teacher and a life coach and a friend and a confidant, and then most importantly, she's a brain injury survivor as well. So, Allie, I want to give you a moment, and I'd love for you to introduce yourself.
Definitely. Thank you again, Ashley, for helping me be able to reach out to the community and what's important for me to share. And when I see brain injury survivor, I'm like, I'm not done yet, but I'm in the process of recovery. It's been almost 8 years, and I'm here not as an expert or doctor. I'm just here more as a peer, and I've learned a lot. And I just want the opportunity to connect. And if someone gets even a shred of wisdom or help, inspiration, I feel very lucky. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Allie. And I will tell you if you've joined even one meeting, it's incredible. Her energy, her experiences, her knowledge, her wisdom, and the topics and what she is able to share is it's life changing. Seriously. So
Mhm.
thank you, Allie, for your time and all that you do. So let's talk about shopping because it's upon us. The holiday season. There's more errands that we have to run, and we know with in this recovery process, sometimes these busy, crowded places can be triggering for us. They can be exhausting for us. Um, they can be challenging. So sometimes we can't avoid going or we have to go. So what I've done and what we'll talk through is just some tips and tricks to try to help make it more manageable for if you have to do it. So the very first thing, and feel free to chime in, Allie, at any time with any ideas or to piggyback. But the first one is it's really obviously great if we can try to avoid the non-peak times because we all know when it's during a peak time, then it is going to be more people, there's going to be more noise, there's going to be more stimulation. And so
I
on
was just going to
Google,
say that the
yeah,
Google. Yes,
yes,
that's so
yes.
wonderful.
So when you look on your Google, like if you pull up and you're going to, let's say Walmart, and you pull it up on your Google Maps, this is, if you scroll down, it will tell you the hours, the address, the phone number, even reviews. Well, one of the things that it gives us is when time, when it's not busier times. And you can even see this one is a live update. I did it at 11 a.m. And it says not busy at all, usually no wait at this time. But if we were to wait closer to, 1 or 2 o'clock, then we're going to be, having more of a wait time. So really trying to plan out to go not at a peak time. Number two, if walking around and that can create trouble, whether it be fatigue, whether it be dizziness, balance, get an electric cart if it's an option. It absolutely can make a difference for you. And if that's not an option, then definitely a cart so you're not carrying, and you can also use it to help balance. It gives you stability. It provides you even just grabbing onto the cart is giving your brain feedback through your proprioceptive system. So grabbing onto that cart and hanging on tight, not too tight, of course, but can also give our brain feedback that can be calming, and it can also help us be centered and feel more safe and stable.
And also,
Um,
just to add, not to interrupt, it
no,
helps with like
please.
depth perception as well, because with
Absolutely.
the aisles, the people, and just having the proximity and knowing where you are in space is helps too.
Very, very good point. Because you have something that you can use, to your point, to like gauge, but be a better
Hmm.
judge of distance. Good point, Allie. Next, try to make a list before you go. And I know that sounds so simple, but sometimes I'll make a list and even forget it before I get there. So definitely making a list before you go. I even took it one step further because it, like for instance, on HEB, let me move this over. If you're down here in HEB land, we'll call it. Um, when you go on their app, you can actually, it will tell you exactly where the item is. Um, and so for instance, here, this is the app, and if I click this view store menu, or I'm sorry, view store map, it actually shows you, okay, here's the front door. It's going to be back here in this left corner. Well, guess what? If you have a list, you can kind of map out which route you should take in order to make it less visually exhausting. You're not having to problem solve when you're in there because you kind of have your map and your route already planned out. And here's the route that I was talking about. So I know it's not always possible, but sometimes we go to the same stores where we kind of know where most of our things are, but there's times where you might not. And if we don't know where everything is, have you ever, and maybe it's just me, but I'll walk back and forth and I'm looking for something and I feel like I've walked down from one end of the store to the other and I never found that aisle with, say the brown sugar. And so here I am going back and forth. And of course, I probably just overlooked it. But one of the things that you can try to help yourself do if you don't know where the item is and you don't have a map and that you weren't able to look at before is being strategic. And so when I say that, if you go into the store and the door is closer to one side, is starting there and staying on the outside border as you're walking through instead of going back and forth, is like really trying to find an outer boundary, because again, that proximity and you being able to judge, okay, I know, it helps you keep your place, and it can help us not have to use so much mental energy because we're lost. And we know that those visual spatial skills can sometimes, we're like, wait, where are we? I've gotten turned around. So trying to be strategic and always asking a team member for help. I mean, they're there for that reason, not just to check you out and not just to put the products on the shelf, but they're there to help. So definitely ask a team member and let them guide you there. And that way you're able to save a little bit of time and that frustration. Let me see here. I'm trying to make sure I'm not, let's see here. Let's go. Remembering where you park. So in some of those bigger parking lots, when you come out of the store, you're so flustered and overwhelmed with all the light stimulation and all the sound stimulation, and now you're at a loss for where you parked. Well, Google Maps actually allows you to save parking. So if you have a Google map, you click on the dot where you are, and this pulls up immediately, and you can save parking. So you click that and it would alert you and be able to help guide you to your car. So, you can save where you parked.
I have an idea. Is this
Please do
interrupting?
it. No, no, no.
So for me, apps and so forth, it's a lot of screen time. So I would get overwhelmed. So I take a picture of where I parked and
Oh,
different,
that's so
so
smart.
you don't have to worry about the app or clicking because it just already
Oh,
overwhelms
Allie, I
me.
love that idea.
Yeah,
That's actually
just
really smart,
expanding.
especially when you start walking to the door, turning
Exactly.
around. So that way you have that same view of when you're coming out. That's actually really, really smart. And I had never thought about that,
Oh,
because
good.
then you just pull up your picture, and you're right. You don't have to do as
Yeah.
much scrolling and finding, because that can be
Yeah.
challenging in itself too. So
Yeah.
anytime we don't have to use apps or screens. I was even thinking one of the things that I try to do is visualize where I'm at. So once I park, I kind of look at where the door is, and then I try to visualize what that parking lot looks like from that door and where I'm at. So it's almost like the same thing, but a mental picture. But I will tell you, sometimes I forget when I'm coming out, I'm like, wait, what was that mental picture? So there's, at least if we have it on a phone, you don't have to rely on that memory. So I wanted to stop there real quick. I knew that it was going to be a quick conversation. Let me stop this
I have a
recording.
few additions.
Oh, please,
Can I
please,
add?
before I stop the recording, absolutely, please do.
So my injury was really, really severe in the beginning. And I always had the goal of like grocery shopping or going into a grocery store. And what I can say is you develop a phobia the more you're not doing something.
Yes.
So start small. I started with setting a timer for 3 minutes. Okay, Allie, you're going to go in the store for 3 minutes. You're going to walk the produce and then you're going to leave. And it's just like a little bit of exposure therapy. So it's less
That's great.
overwhelming. And then also, so setting a timer, practicing, and just starting small. And then also headphones,
Oh, that's
noise
good.
canceling,
Hmm.
or others to just kind of drown out the noise. Because I describe to people there's like a certain amount of units every day for me. And if I'm
Yes,
using my units to track and find, it's exhausting on my brain. So taking some
absolutely.
of the senses out has helped me.
I loved the exposure therapy because I think that that is so important and such a helpful tip because sometimes if the um, 15 or 30 minutes, what it normally would take us to get the items that we need in that store is too overwhelming and us avoiding it impacts our life to such a degree where it's almost like, well, I'm not doing anything that I used to do. So that exposure therapy and how you mentioned like setting a timer and then feeling proud and accomplished after 3 minutes and you're still doing it, even if it's in smaller increments. I think that that's huge with this, um, you know, process of recovery is, um, like you mentioned, that exposure to some of those things that maybe we can't do at the extent that we used to, but we're still doing it. And then maybe it's 4 minutes the next time, and then it's 5 minutes. And I know, Allie, if I can share, I know one of the things that you were so good about is with the restaurants, because restaurants can be
Mm,
overstimulating. I've had so many people
yeah,
tell me that they can't even go have dinner or
yeah,
lunch with a friend or their significant other because of that. And I used to
yeah.
admire how Allie could still enjoy that side of her life, but within, she would, find places that weren't as stimulating or, make adjustments. So that's a great reminder too, for
Yeah, of
those.
course.